Okay, so in the previous sessions we have seen the different ways of using the Sqoop connectors. So different RDBMs are there. So if you want to configure Sqoop for them, so you need to configure the Sqoop, then you need to download the connector, and you need to, so the connector, and we have to use a driver and connector which establish a communication between your Hdfs and MySQL, right? So in the previous sessions we have seen what are the different connectors we are having and how these connectors are connected to the MySQL, and now we are going to retrieve the data, right? Today session we are going to discuss, first what we'll do, we'll create the data, we'll create a table in MySQL, then we load the data to MySQL table, right? Then we'll perform import to Hive, then we'll perform import to Hbase, then we'll perform import to Hdfs, we'll do today, and then export to Hive, export to MySQL. Okay, so we are going to execute these commands in today's session, right? I'll show you how to create a table and by real-time data, by getting real-time data, we'll try to load the data into the MySQL table, right? So here I am using slide share to collect some data. Okay, so here I'm going for analytics. My data is available here, right? Going to export, right? So this is the file which I'm having, right? So I'm trying to create a table with this, right? I'm downloading this file. Okay, save this file, saving somewhere in the system. Okay, this is a file, so I'm changing the name. It's an slide info .csv, right? So I'm taking a terminal, I'll give the privileges to that one, so that. Okay, chmod slide info .txt. So I just want to give all the privileges to this file, table 7. Okay, fine. So I have created a file. The file name is slide info.txt, and I'm giving the privileges it as read and write and execute. Fine. So I'm going to the MySQL terminal. Okay. So show tables. So I have a table. Previously the same table is available to slide data. So I'm create table like slide data. right? I have created a new table. The new table name is slide info, right? Now I have to import the rows into the table. So we have a command to load the data. So I'm just executing that command to load the data, right? So I just want to load the data from the file. uh, okay, the file is available in the downloads. Okay, and the file name, it is slide info. Slide info.txt into the table slide in. Right, the table name is slide info, right? So we have created a table. The table name is slide info. Okay, select. Okay, so here it is the issue with the delimiter. So I'm opening this file to the downloads and the slide info.txt display. Right, so wherever we have the comma, replace the comma with a tab. Writing /t. Right, replace all. Now save this file. So we have the comma as a delimiter. Right, in the previous run, because because of the wrong delimiter, so it have loaded only one row into the table, right? So delete from slide info. Right, it's an empty rows we have. I'll try to load the data. Now home cloud downloads file name into the table slide info, fields terminated by /t. Press enter. Okay, so there are 495 records. Right, let me check. Select start from slide info. Okay, so this is the data we are having, right, in Mysql table. Okay, so first we'll import this table to the Hdfs. So to import the data to the Hdfs, we have to use Sqoop, right? So then use the command import, then specify the connection string connect, right, jdbc colon mysql colon / localhost. Okay, so use the command sqoop space import and just write the connection string. So this is a connection string. So write connect space jdbc driver we are using to establish a connection. So it is going and connecting to the Mysql which is configured in the my localhost, right? So write the database name test. So which table you want to import, write the table name table table. So the table name is I want to import the table with the name slide info. So write the table name. Now specify how many number of mappers you want to use. Suppose if your table in MySQL is enabled with a primary key, then we can able to run the multiple mappers. So whenever you are using the multiple mappers, suppose there are 1000 records are there in the MySQL. Now I'm trying to import that 1000 records to Hdfs. Now whenever you're trying to import the 1000 records, first identify whether the table is enabled with a primary key or not. Suppose if table is enabled with the primary key, we can able to run multiple mappers. So in the Sqoop import command, you have to specify how many numbers of mappers you want to configure. This write -m4. So then the 4 mappers goes to the Mysql database, and 4 mappers trying to retrieve 1000 records at one time. So mapper 1 will retrieve 1 to 250 rows in the table and creates a part file with the name -m-5 zeros. So this part file is going to be created. So this part file contains 250 rows in the of the table. Now second mapper retrieves 251 to 500 rows, right? Creates a part file with the name 01, right? Similarly, so when we are using the 4 mappers, so 4 mappers will create four part files in the Hdfs. Suppose if your table is not enabled with a primary key, so we are unable to run the multiple mappers because it doesn't identify the index from where it has to start and from where it has to end, right? So that we are unable to run the multiple mappers if it is enabled with if it is not enabled by the primary key. So in that case, so generally if your table is not enabled by the primary key, then so you have to use one mapper, okay? Otherwise we can specify a parameter split by to specify which column you have to specify the split, right? That we will use during the import if your table is not enabled by the primary key. So if it's not enabled the primary key, then the 1000 records are there, and if you want to retrieve the 1000 records with the multiple mappers, so instead of specifying the number of mappers, you have to specify the field name. So which field you want to split, right? We use split by to import that one, right? So generally, otherwise you can use only one mapper retrieve to retrieve all the 1000 records. Okay, so here my table is enabled with a primary key, so I can able to run the multiple mappers. So specify Sqoop space import, write the connection string, and then write the table name and specify the number of mappers, and specify the username which you are trying to connect to the Mysql. So username root, and then you have to write the password root. But generally people don't want to write their password into the table, right? So I don't want to write the password here, so I have an option. So write -p, so that this command will manually ask the user to enter the password. So you have to enter the password to run this query. So with this username, this particular password, with these privileges, now Sqoop will connect to the Mysql which is configured in the local host, and it will goes to the database test. In the database test we have a table slide info. So with the 4 mappers, if you write here -m4, with 4 mappers it will try to retrieve the data, and the data is imported to the Hdfs. Suppose if you have configured the multi-node installation and you have dedicated a node for the Mysql, right? So if it is Mysql is available in some another database, some another node or a machine, instead of the local host, you have to write the address of the machine where Mysql is available. So in my system, Mysql is configured in the same machine where the right is a local host. So I have configured everything as a pseudo distributed mode installation. So here I have used the local host. So if you are using the fully distributed mode installation, then you have to write the address of the machine where Mysql is available. Okay, now so run this command to import the data to the Hdfs. So when you run this command, So this command will create a directory with the table name in Hdfs. So what is the table name? Slide info. So the Sqoop will create a directory name with the name slide info. In the slide info, right, it will create the 4 part files. Otherwise, if you want to specify a specific directory to import the records, you can specify target -dir, specify the location where you want to, in which location you want to import the records. So you can specify user Cloudera and specify the directories, right? New data, right? So now all the records from Mysql are imported to the location in SDFS with the name new data. Okay, so you can run this command. Okay, this cube space import connect JDBC colon MySQL colon / localhost. What is the database name? Test, and write the table name. So what is the table name? We have slide info is the table name, right? I want to run 4 mappers, so -m4, right? So now specify username root, and I want to enter the password manually. Okay, press enter. Right, it will ask the password, enter the password, click the button root. Okay, so retrieved 495 records. So it will create a directory in SDFS with the name table name. We can see that one. So write this command Hadoop space FSFN ls. So what is the directory name? Slide info. And simply display slide info. Okay, so it will create a directory slide info in the directory. So it creates a 3 files. So this is a part file, and this is a second part file. So third part file and 4 part files, because I have used the 4 mappers. So it created the 4 part files, and each part file will store part of the data. So you can see this Hadoop FSFN cat, and write the table name slide data, and the file name is part. What is the first part? Part hyphen m hyphen 5 zeros. Okay, so it is having the records up to 110. So see the next part file. So we'll have 110 to next, right? 110 to 220. Then part file 2, right? It's a 330 up to 330. Then fourth part file, right? So we have total, I think 495 records are there, 440. So all the 440 records are imported to 4 part files. Okay, suppose if you want to import to a specific directory in SDFS, we have to write hyphen target hyphen dir. See here, I am specifying a location, target hyphen dir. I just want to import to a location user Cloudera. Okay, so I give some table name, directory name slide info1. Okay, so it will create a directory with the name slide info1. In this directory slide info1, it will import the records. So here I'll use only one mapper. So write -m1. So one file is going to be created. Enter the password. Okay, so retrieved 495 records into the directory. We can see that one. See, go to the browser. Five 00070 for the name node, and browse the file system, user, and the Cloudera. The table name, directory name is slide info1, right? So go to the slide info1, right? One part file is created which contains, right, all the 440 files. Okay. Yeah. Suppose, right, so if you want to import, we can able to import the data using 3 different formats. Right, so if you want, so by generally when you're trying to import this, by default it imports the data into the text format, right? So here I don't want to import the data into the text format, so I just want to encrypt the data, right? Then you can use a sequential format, so where it import the records to the Hdfs, and so the records can be in the form of encrypted, so that the user cannot able to directly see the content, right? So for that one you have to use a parameter hyphen as. Suppose if you want to display as a text files, right, so it will be imported as a text file. For that one use the parameter as text file. Okay, so it will import the records to the Hdfs as a text format. Otherwise if you want to import as a sequential file with encrypted format, right, if you want to import as a sequential file, okay, so use the use option as hyphen sequence file. Okay, suppose if you are having the binary data and if you want to import those binary data, try to import as Avro data format, right? Avro file. So for this use parameter as Avro data file, right? So if by default it uses a text file, so if you want to import as a sequence file, right, as a sequence file, if you want to import the data as Avro data format, then use Avro data file, right? So the records are imported to the directory with a sequence file or Avro data file or as a text file, right? By default it uses as text file. You'll see that. Okay, see here now slide info1, I want to import to a directory, new directory, the directory name I am giving as slide info2, right? I want to import as text file. So by default which were imported is a by default is a text file format, right? So if you want to import as a sequential format, right, as sequence file. Right now, the records are imported to the directory slide info 2, and the records are imported as encrypted format. Okay, so returned 495 records. Okay, so the directory name we have given slide info 1. Slide info 2. Right, slide info 2. So this is a part file. Now it contains the data which is encrypted format. Okay, so by default we can make the three types of imports. First, by default import is a text format, so the records are imported as a text format, right, so that the users can able to see the file. So when it is importing to the as a text format, by default it uses a delimiter comma, so each field is separated by the comma. Default delimiter is comma, and default import format is a text format. Okay, so this is sequential file. So generally we use sequential file format and Avro data file format. Suppose you are trying to import the data from Hdfs, and your Mysql table contains the binary data, so prefer to use Avro data file or sequential file to import the data. The same thing, suppose if you want to import as a Avro data file, so then right here slide create a new directory with the name slide info 3. Okay, write as Avro data file, enter the password. Now the table slide info is imported to a directory slide info 3, so the records are specified as Avro data file format. Okay, import error during import job fail. We'll see what is the error. right? Permission denied. Okay, uh, right? See user root, user Cloudera and slide info 3 as our data file. Press enter, enter the password root. Okay, retrieved 495 records. Right, the directory which we have created is with the name slide info 3. Okay, it's an Avro data file format.
This is in binary mode.
Yes, JSON data format. Okay, so we can able to import using three different formats, either text file or Avro data file or sequential file format. Okay, and so during the import, if you want to compress the file, right? If you want to right import with a compressed format, you can use parameter hyphen compress. Okay, so I just want to, if you want to compress the data, use as Avro data file and specify compress. Okay, so it is saying that slide info 3 is already exist. We'll give the some other another directory name. So I'm giving slide info 4. Okay, returned 495 records. Let's see. Right, the new direct name is slide info 4. Okay, so this is the compressed format of imported records. Suppose if you want to use the specific compressed format, suppose we have the different compression formats are available. Suppose if you want to use snappy codec to compress the snappy format, so we can use, you have to write this one, write compression hyphen codec, right? Specify now which compression codec you want to use, right? So if you want to use snappy, then you have to write org dot apache dot hadoop dot io dot compress dot snappy codec, right? So whenever if you want to import the records as a snappy codec compression format, then you have to use this one. So before using this snappy codec, so this must be snappy codec compression must be enabled in your environment. For that one, so you have a file in core-site.xml. Okay, so you have to specify this property io dot compression dot codec, right, must be equal to snappy, so that you can able to use the snappy compression, right? Snappy is one kind of compression, like see in Windows we have WinZip, WinRAR, 7-zip, right? Like that here we have a different compressions are available like GunZip, LZO, right, BZO, snappy. So these are the different types of compression algorithms which are used to compress the data. So if you want to use any particular compression, you can use that particular compression codec. So you have to specify that compression codec for the property for the parameter compression hyphen codec. So if you want to use the snappy compression format, so during the import write this compression hyphen codec as the snappy codec you want to use, so that during the import the records are imported to Hdfs directory and the imported records are in a compression format where the compression is done by the snappy, right? If you use the compress, it will use the default compression format which is specified in IO compression codec. Otherwise, if you want to use any particular compression codec, then specify the core-site.xml, specify that particular compression, and here in the compression codec, use that compression to compress the data at the time of importing the records to SDFS, right? So this is these are the ways we can able to import the data to the SDFS, right? We can import as a text file, we can import as a sequence file, we can import as Avro data file. So I want to import a sequential file and the sequence file must be compressed. Then write here as a sequence file and write compress, right? It is going to be compressed, right? The records are going to be compressed with a default compression. So if you want to use any particular compression format, then write this compression codec, right? Use this compression codec, snappy codec, to compress the input records in a snappy codec compression format. Fine. Any questions here?
Yes.
Jay Prakash?
Yeah, no.
Okay. right? So not all the time we are trying to will import all the records, right? So I just want to import only the specific columns as a text file, right? So I just want to import only specific columns from Mysql to Hdfs. Okay, so if you want to import only specific columns from Mysql to Hdfs, right, we can use same Sqoop import, right? Write the complete Sqoop import, write the connection string and that table name and database name, table name and number of mappers, username and password. Okay, now which column you want to import, just write that column name as for the parameter columns. Okay, right, columns. So which column you want to import, so write that column name. Suppose I want to use country, right? Write that one, country, right? So I want to import this as a text file. Okay, write this command. Okay, I want to import to target directory slide info 5. Okay, now I want to import only the specific columns. Okay, here I am writing hyphen columns, right? I want to import city. Okay, right, parameter columns, and which column you want to import, write the column name or the field name, right? I want to import as text file. Okay, so the retrieved 495 records. We'll see that. We have given the table name slide info 6, right? I have imported only the country, okay, as a plain text format, right? So here you have to write the parameter columns, right? Which column you want to import, write that particular column. Okay, so that it's a connection string and the table name, with this table I want to import, and in this table only the particular column city I want to import. So that write the table name, then write the parameter columns. For this parameter columns specify the fields which you want to import. If you want to write the multiple fields, then write the multiple field names separated by the comma, right? So here I want to import only the name city, right? So I wrote columns space in the double quotes specify the city, right? I want to import as a text file. Okay, so now even in this run, so I just want to import only the specific set of data, right? I want to import the records from the one particular city or one particular country, right? So I want to find out all the users from particular city name, right? So if you want to import only some subset of data based on condition. Okay, so if you want to import the data based on some country, suppose I want to import the records where the city belongs to Hyderabad, where the city belongs to Chennai, like this I want to write. So for this one, same, write the Sqoop import statement. Okay, now specify. So I just want to import the columns city. Okay, specify the condition where, right? So I just want to import the countries, right? Where the countries like India. So write where country equal to let me see, I have India here, I is capital, right? Right, where country equal to India, right? So it will import all the records, so where the country name should be India, right? We'll run this query. Okay, so write where country equal to India, so I must be capital. Okay, as a text file. So here I want to create a directory, the name India, enter the password root. So it will import all the records where the country name should belongs to India. Okay, it's saying retrieved 0 records, right? So we'll go to this one. Just let me check the fields. DSC slide info, right? I have field with the name country. I'll take city. right? Here privileged exception, right? India already exists, so I'm giving India one. Password true. Right? I'm giving from India. Okay, so retrieved 133 cards. It have specified the direct name as from India. Okay, so these are the users from the city India.
Can we add two condition?
Yes, you can write the giants too. Right, you can write multiple giants in that one and you can run that query. Okay, so this is using the where class. Right, so we have imported the records by specifying specific condition. Right, so I want to import all the records where the city belongs to India. Okay, so these are the different ways we can able to import the records to the Hdfs directory. So now suppose if you want to import the records to the Hive. Okay, so we can able to import the records from Mysql to Hive using two ways. The first thing is we have to create the structure of the table in Hive, then we have to import the records. Otherwise, if you want to create the structure, if your Sqoop job will create the structure, and after that it will load the data into the table, right? So both the things we can able to perform the import one. The first thing is, so first user has to create the structure of the table, then user has to import the records to the Hdfs. After that, from Hdfs, user has to load the records from Hdfs to Hive table, right? So this is one way of importing the records from Mysql to Hdfs. Otherwise, you can perform either you can perform a import directly to the Hive table, right? For that one, you have to specify the parameter Hive import. Right, see in this run I have specified right, this is Hive import. You have to specify, you'll see that. So first thing is right, importing from Sqoop to Hive. So we can import the records from Sqoop to Hive using two ways. First thing is
Only the updated records will be input.
hello, yes,
Only the updated records.
hello, your voice is getting too much low, Srijit. I cannot able to understand.
I'm importing only the updated records.
race. I'll show you that one, right? So first we'll see importing from Sqoop to Hive. That after Hive, after Hbase, we'll run a Sqoop job, and that one I'll show you how to import the updated records. Okay, so that is possible with the command Sqoop job, right? I'll teach you that one. So when you are discussing about the command Sqoop job, right now we'll see how to import the records from Sqoop to Hive. Right, first one, user has to, first one you have to import records to Hdfs, then use Sqoop Hive create to create a table structure in Hive, and third, in the third step you have to load the data from Hdfs to Hive table, right? The first thing is you have to import the records to the Hdfs, then use Sqoop Hive create to create the table structure in Hive, then you have to load the data from Hdfs to Hive table, right? We'll see that, right? First we'll import to the Hdfs. Okay, so import connection, write the connection string, right? Database name test, table is slide info -m. Before that one, just delete that one. Hadoop fs hyphen. Okay, right? So now in Hdfs it will create a directory with the name slide info. In the directory it will create a one part file with the name part-m-5 right? So I am going to import the data to the Hdfs. Okay, so now retrieved 495 records. Right now these records are available in Hdfs under the directory slide info, right? Now we have to create a table structure. So for that one, use Sqoop create Hive table, right? Write the connection string test and write the table name. The table name I want to create is slide info, right? So in Hive it will create a table. The table name is slide info. So by default the comma is a delimiter for the table slide info. For this one, so use the Sqoop command, Sqoop create Hive table, right? So this Sqoop create Hive table will create a table structure in Hive. The table structure should be similar like the table in Mysql, right? So half the slide info table is there in the Mysql, with the similar kind of table is created in Hive. For that one we have to run the command Sqoop space create Hive table, right? So when you run this command create Hive table, it will create a table in Hive. The table name is slide info, and during the creating the table in Hive it will create the same fields with trying to specify a similar or compatible data types in Hive, right? And so the Hive table contains a delimiter comma. Okay, to the Hive. We'll see the table name, that is side info. Right, it's an empty set. Select star from slide info. Right, it's an empty set. Now to load the records, right, load data in path slide info into table slide info, right, to load the data into the table. Okay, now so the records are imported to Hive table. Right, so we can see that it's an available in user Hive warehouse, the Hive warehouse, right, it's a created slide info. Okay, right, so this is the way how to import the records from Mysql table to Hive table. Okay, so first you have to write. So for this, first I have imported the records to the Hdfs by running the Sqoop import command, right? So the records are imported to the Hdfs. After that one, I run Sqoop create Hive table to create a table in Hive with the similar fields with a similar structure in Hive, which is similar like MySQL table slide info. Right, after that one, I have loaded the data. So I wrote load data in path, write the table name into the table name. Right, so first in the first step the records are imported, in the second step table structure is created, in the third step records are imported to the table. Right, so this is one way of importing the records from MySQL table to Hive table. Right, so first import the records to the Hdfs. So the records are available in Hdfs file system. For this one we have to use regular Sqoop import command to import the records to the Hdfs. After that one, Sqoop comes with the command Sqoop space create Hive table. Right, this command will create a table structure in Hive. So which table you have specified the in MySQL, so the similar kind of table with a similar kind of data type is going to be created in Hive. Suppose if there is no data type is available, the data type which is in MySQL which is not available in the Hive, then the related Java data type is going to be specified for that particular field during the table creation. Right, so this command will create a table structure in Hive. Right, similar like the table in MySQL which you are going to import. And after that one, so load the data with the command load data and specify in path, right, which is in this location into this the table name slide info. Okay, right, suppose if you want to import along with the table structure, right, another way of import is so importing the table along with table data along with the table structure. Right, for that one, so just write a Sqoop import. Right, here specify Hive import. Okay, now specify the table name. That I just want to import. I'm going creating another table. Create a table. Slide info one as select star. Right, new table is created. The new table name is slide info one. Right, now I want to import the slide info one table to the Hive along with the table structure and along with the table data. So for that one, specify the parameter hyphen Hive import. Here specify the table name, which table you want to create, this table name, right? Slide info one. Right, the same slide info one table is created in Hive. Right, during the import it use one parameter hyphen m1, and this is you have to use a parameter Hive import, which indicates the table structure is going to be imported and the table data is going to be imported. Okay, so write Sqoop import, then write the connection string, database name, and the table name. I want to use one mapper, and this is Hive import, so that when you write parameter Hive import, it will import the table structure along with the table data. Right, in Hive a new table is created. The table name is slide info one, and it will import the records to the table slide info one. Output directory slide info one already exists. Okay, so now right, so that first records are imported to the Hdfs as a part file. From this part file, so the records are loaded into the Hive table, loading uploaded data into Hive. That we'll see in the Hive terminal. Right, the table which we have created is slide info one. You can write DSC slide info one. Okay, right, see here comment imported by Sqoop. Okay, here we have run the command to display the extended information about the table slide info. Right, so it will display the detailed table information. This is the table name, and the database name in Hive is a default. Right, so this is date and time when it is created. Right, so this is the default delimiter, and See here the comment, these records are imported by Sqoop. Okay, so this is one way we can import the records to the Hive table from the Mysql table. So here I will create the table structure, then the records are loaded into the Hive table. Okay, so any question here?
Nope.
Right. Okay, so this is importing from Mysql to Hive. Now we'll see how to import the records from Mysql to Hbase. Right, here also the same. So one thing is we can import the table structure, or and then we load the records into the table. Right, so first one is, see here, importing data from Mysql Hbase. So here we use the command sqoop import. Okay, so write the connection string. Now specify the table name. So which table you want to import, the table name. So I want to import the table name, the slide info, the table. Okay, so specify the table name in Hbase. So which table you want to import. So in Hbase I want to import this to the table slide info, and the slide info table belongs to the family slide info. I am writing some Hbase HF slide info. Right, so here Hbase, I wrote Hbase create table. So when you write this Hbase create table, so it will create the table and it will create the table structure, then it loads the records into the table. Right, so write this command sqoop import, then write the connection string, specify the username and specify the password. And so this is the table, write the table name from which table you want to import the records to the Hbase. So from the table slide info I want to import the records to the Hbase table slide info. Right, so this is the Mysql table and this is Hbase table. So which table you want to import, write the table name. Right, the table name is slide info. Right, if the table exists it will import the records. If the table is not exist, it will create the table with the name slide info, then it will import the records to the table slide info. Right, suppose you have not written this one, otherwise suppose you wrote this one, already slide info is there, then what it will do, it will directly import the records to the slide info table in Hbase. Right, if the slide info table is not there, then it will create a table slide info and the table belongs to the family HF slide info. After that the records are imported. Right, we'll run this. Let me open the Hbase shell.
It means if table already exists, it will drop and recreate.
No, if the table exists, it will insert the records to the table.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will create the table, then records are imported to the table.
Here also append the data if data exists.
Hbase shell, yes.
Here also it will, if data exists, it will append the data.
Yes. If you write overwrite, then it will overwrite the data. Okay, so this is the Hbase terminal. Edit and paste. Right, so it will create a table, slide info. We don't have the table slide info here. See, okay, so these are the tables in Hbase. Right, so the table is not there, so it will create a table, then it will import the records. Okay, so write the table, this is the table name, and the table name in Hbase is slide info, and this in Hbase for every table we must specify the family. So the table must be belongs to one family, right? So have to specify the column family. So the tables are belongs to the family name HF slide info. Right, I wrote Hbase create table to create Hbase table, and it will import the records. Suppose in that case, if the table is already exist and if you want to append the records, then just don't write this one. Localhost, the database name is test. Right, so here see this creating missing table Hbase info slide info, creating missing Hbase table slide info. Okay, so retrieved 495 records. Right, slide info, we can see this scan slide info. Okay, so here in this example, right, so here this is in this one what we did, so the records are imported to the Hbase table. So here the table is created, and after that the records are loaded into the Hbase table, right? Suppose if I want to import the records to a Hbase table, right? So see here, I'm going to create a table, just create slide info. I'm writing, I want to create a new table. The new table name I'm giving slide info 123 belongs to family slide family. Right, so a new table is created in Hbase. The new table name is slide info. Right, in the first run it I have created the table. The Sqoop command created the Hbase table, then it imported the records to into the table, right? In the second run, so I have a table in slide info 123. Now I want to import the records from MySQL table slide info to Hbase table slide info to info 123. Right now it is an empty scan, right? It's an empty set, right? There are 0 rows. Now I want to import the records from MySQL table to Hbase table slide info 3, right? So in the first run, the records are imported to Hbase. First it created the table, then it imported the records into the table, right? In the second one, I just want to import the records to a Hbase already existing table, right? So in Hbase, we have a table. The table name is slide info 123, right? So this is belongs to slide family. Now I want to import the records from MySQL table to the specific table in Hbase, that is slide info 123. So for that one here, right? So write the database connection string and write the table name. So here for the parameter Hbase table, write the table name in Hbase. So the table name in Hbase is slide info 123, right? So this table belongs to family. Which family it is? Slide family. Okay, so write this, run this command. Okay, retrieved 880 records. 880. Scan. Right, my table name is slide info. See the table name here, SLID info 123. There is no I, E is there. The table name slide info 1, 2, 3. How to give. So import failed, saying that
Could not access.
no, the table not found. See, could not find Hbase table slide info 1, 2, 3. Wrong spelling. Right, previously we have imported from another table to slide info 1, 2, 3, right? So it's imported 800 records. What I'll do, I'll create another table.
This is JSON format, Hbase table.
Once again for me. Wait. I'm creating a table slide info. I'm writing new table name, new slide info belongs to family, new family. Okay, so that now I write new slide info. Right, I want to import slide info table from MySQL to Hbase table,
New slide.
new slider,
New slide info.
new slide info, and the family belongs to
New year.
new F. Right, so from the table MySQL database test, we have a table slide info. Now I want to import the records of the table slide info to the Hbase table new slide info.
You can create these import in the job, right, for regular run.
Yes, it's saying again import job failed.
Maybe the new slide info somewhere capital is there.
Just a second. Base table, new set info, column family, new F.
Can we schedule a job in Hadoop environment?
No, we can create the job, and if you want to schedule the job, you have to use Uzi to schedule the job.
Okay. And that Uzi will provide the screen for monitoring the job, right?
Yes, but we have to create the job in Sqoop. After creating the job, you have to schedule it through Uzi so that the job can be run automatically and every day on the specific time interval. Right. Save zero records. The table name slide info, right?
Course is triggered on the family, column family, new.
No need. Slide info is there, right? That means
Yeah.
spelling. Okay. Fine. So in the previous to import,
Ajay?
yes, just second, last, right? Fine. So this is the way importing the records from Mysql to Hbase. Okay. Right. So any questions here? right? Suppose if you want to import the records to a specific existing table, so just remove Hbase create table, right? So automatically the records are imported to existing table, right? So now run this one. So I want to import again this records to this table S12. Press enter. That if the table is if you want to create the table, then only write Hbase create table. Otherwise, if you want to use existing table to import the records, then use then then don't use Hbase create table. Just write Hbase hyphen table name, specify the table name in which table you want to import the records. Okay, so 495 records are imported to Hbase table, which is already existing table, right? So to right, so to import the specific columns, just write the columns. So what are the columns you want to import? Write the columns name, right? So this columns belongs to the family F11, right? Specify the create table. So if you want to create a new table in Hbase, so you have to specify new name, table name for the Hbase table, right? Here I want to create a new Hbase table S13. For new Hbase table, I want to import only the specific columns from the Mysql table slide info. So now in this run, so a new table S13 is created. This S13 table belongs to the family F11. So the primary key in slide info table is serial number 1, right? The serial number field becomes the primary key in Hbase table. For that one, specify the parameter here Hbase hyphen row hyphen key, right? So with this parameter Hbase create table, new Hbase table is created with the name S13, and in that new table S13, so we are specific columns with the name serial number city ISP are going to be imported. So during import, it will check the primary key in Mysql table. In the Mysql table, primary key is a serial number. So I want to make the serial number as a primary key in Hbase table. So here use this parameter Hbase hyphen row hyphen key. Fine. So this is all about different types of importing the records to Mysql to Hbase. Okay. Next, we'll see.
Ajay, one small request.
Just a second.
Ajay,
Yes.
can we continue tomorrow?
Just a second, Srijit. This session is recording. Just a second. I'll talk to you. Right. So retrieved 495 records.